Okay.
There we are. We are on.
Are we on, Charles?
Yes. Aloha, everybody. Good evening. And welcome to Mel and Charlie here on Facebook Live. Today is June the 2nd. It's a beautiful Tuesday. And
Happy Friday. Happy Friday, everybody. Happy Friday.
Yep. Mel's calendar only get one day, Friday.
All right. Aloha, everybody, and welcome. Special night tonight. As soon as we get some people on, I guess we got some people on here.
Oh, yeah. We have look how much people we got on. We have 112 people on so far.
I don't see any comments, though. That's the problem. What the heck?
No, I get plenty of comments.
If you don't recognize me, I'm Mel Raposo. Well, here we go. Nice haircut. Aloha. Okay. All right. Welcome, everybody, and thank you for joining us again on our COVID discussion. Special guest tonight, Lieutenant Governor Josh Green. He'll be popping in a few minutes. You know, a lot of things have changed since the last time he was on, and we're going to have him share with us all the new developments. Most recently, the governor's lift of the inner island quarantine, which is going to start on June 16th. So kind of excited to hear about that. Thanks, everybody, about my haircut. Yeah, I finally passed by Ikeda's today, and there was no line. So I figured I better go and get in there before the line started. So anyway, appreciate you guys joining us tonight and every night. Get us your questions for the Lieutenant Governor. I mean, we see him a lot on TV, on different shows, various shows, but we got him tonight, and he welcomes your questions. So please, if you have any questions for the Lieutenant Governor, go ahead and put it in the comments. Charlie and I will be monitoring the comments, and we'll get everybody. I know, man. This is like, it is so nice. I lost like 14 pounds after the haircut. About 14 pounds I lost, and all good. It feels good. Kind of think I'm gonna keep the beard though. I kind of like the beard, but it's so much better with this hair. You see, now for the eyebrows. Oh my God! Now they're talking about my eyebrows. Charles, they're talking about my eyebrows. Why?
Well, you know when it's bad, brother. When a bugger connect one side to the other, the bugger make the H3 tunnel, right straight across. That's when you know you got to do something.
I get these little stragglers that like two or three of them go up like that, which is really weird.
That's the kind, guys. You know that black belt theater, the kung fu fighters, they get that striped kind eyebrow. So maybe a kung fu fighter one.
Yes, you're on the Mel and Charlie show. This is Mel. I know I look a lot different. I was gonna wear the hat tonight just because I got used to it. But anyway, the Lieutenant Governor is in the waiting room. I'm gonna bring him in right now. I love these guys. These guys are always on time. They're always so diligent. But then again, he comes in sideways like that. So you gotta ask him to turn his camera. Yeah, you need to turn your phone or your iPad or whatever you're using, Lieutenant Governor. There we go. There we go. Much better. How are you, sir?
I'm good. How are you?
You look tired. You gonna play us the Flatten the Curve song afterwards on your keyboard right behind you?
Ukulele.
Okay. Thank you. I know we got short night tonight, so we just want to welcome you again, LG. You've been busy as a bee, so we're gonna just fire away, buddy. Give us some highlights, some updates, and we got some questions. So fire away, my friend.
Okay. Pretty good news in general that the curve is flatter than flat. So it's been almost no cases and no fatalities, which has been extraordinary since we last spoke. The announcement to open inter-island travel cuts both ways, of course, because people have some regular trepidations about that. But on the flip side, we got to get it going at some point. So better to get it going when we're not dying, and it's a struggle, but we're ready. There's very, very little viral load right now. So we're putting in plans, pretty much extreme plans to be able to screen people like crazy at the airports. I can describe that to the team and community. That will go live, of course, on the 16th, which is 2 weeks from today. And the expectation is that, of course, we will use this as a time where we can debug our program and process, so that once ultimately any travelers come in large numbers, and they're already coming smaller numbers, when they come in large numbers, we want to be able to keep ourselves safe. So I'm putting together lots and lots of plans on that front. From testing, my optimal course desire would be to have everyone be tested before they come. We can talk about Alaska. Alaska has announced that they intend to test everybody. I've pressed for that pretty hard. But if we don't get that, then what I'm calling active surveillance testing would be in its place, and we'd be able to test samples of people as they came in and get a constant rolling idea of anybody that's coming in and what the numbers are as far as people being positive. So that is the current plan. Meanwhile, just to give people a mini update, our hospitals have not been occupied. 50% of our hospital beds are occupied, 34% of our intensive care unit beds, and 9% of our ventilators. So we remain very good from a healthcare standpoint. However, from a financial standpoint and just a human standpoint, there's just lots of struggling. So that's kind of where we are right now. And why don't I just, I guess I'll end with 95% of our people have been cleared that had the virus. So that's another great thing. And from this point, let me answer 1,000 questions. I wanted just to be available.
Okay.
I have a question, and it's something that I saw tonight on the news when they reported the numbers, the new case on Oahu. I think it was KHON. I can't remember, but and they reported that we had one more case on on Oahu, but it was questionable because the person had come in contact with a COVID positive person back in March, and he didn't display any symptoms. So they have to relook at that case. If you're positive, it's a positive, right? I mean, I don't.
Yes.
I couldn't understand that. I'm assuming tomorrow they're gonna come back and say, "Oh, we kind of screwed up, so we'll take in one more back," like they've done a few times so far. I don't know if you're familiar with that, the Honolulu case that was just reported tonight on tonight's news, but that's what the reporter said, and I was a little confused whether you came in contact with someone in March or yesterday. If you got your test results came back yesterday or whenever that test numbers report from, you're positive, right?
Yeah, that's right. And there's been some evolution of the way they've reported things, because also antibody tests have started to get added to the mix. And antibody tests, of course, can suggest that you have already moved past your active infection. You could test positive for the IgG antibody, which means you've gotten over it and you've got antibodies. So that's an additional kind of wrinkle. But yeah, if you're tested positive, you're tested positive. There have been some people whose tests were inconclusive, meaning that they didn't get either a negative or a positive test result, and they needed to be tested again. And once they went and checked it, they were negative and they took them off. So that happens periodically. I think it's safe to say that we're going into a phase where we'll probably start talking less about the number of cases per day and more about what our overall capacity is and whether we're seeing any community spread or surges once we start opening the state up. Because I have to believe that we're going to have small numbers of cases at least, but as long as it doesn't surge in any big way, we'll begin to resume normal life. It's hard to believe because we're wearing masks and strip clubs are all closed, which is probably good for everybody's health overall. But it's just it's definitely a different era.
Governor, Lieutenant Governor, with regards to the testing, and because there seems to be, it goes really good for a while, then it spikes into problems with the test, and so a lot of the viewers, you know, they're not doctors. You know, many of us were not doctors, so we go by what the word is. It's a test kit. How is there anything being done to kind of vet these procedures where we can get maybe more of an accurate reading, so we don't have to keep on bouncing back and forth and wonder if it's reliable or not?
There is. First of all, the PCR test, the nasal swab test that we got is very reliable. That test, that antigen test, is reliable. So that one's the one that we don't have to worry about. These antibody tests, though, like I was over at Coalina today talking to those guys, and they are sampling lots of different tests because they'd like to be able to test their workers and people that come in. And so they're testing multiple different tests, one from Germany, one's from China, one's from Korea, one's from the USA. They're testing those antibody tests against people that they know have already tested positive to see if they work. And they're all over the place, these antibody tests. So we're waiting for the federal government to give us the green light on some really good, reliable tests. But boy, it's not been perfect. And truth be told, antibody tests are good and they're going to be great long term once we have good data, but they are meant more for epidemiology purposes, for like background of large populations. They're not really screening devices. So when we're talking about our loved ones, when we want to know if they screen positive, we want the antigen test. And that's the test that I've suggested we really should use for this active surveillance when people come in. And also, honestly, when we do get some people to test before they come to Hawaii, it would be best if they did antigen testing, because that would really give us the goods. That'll tell us what we're looking at.
So that's the PCR test you referred to, right? This antigen test. So what's the time frame on test and getting a result back? Can it be done rapidly, or is there like a 1 to 2 day waiting period?
So great question. So the test from the Abbott kit, which was the first one that everyone got all excited about, the rapid test, they've proved only to be about 80 to 85% accurate. And that's a little lower than you want. That level of accuracy can leave you with a lot of doubt and end up testing again. And that is kind of made it fall out of favor a little bit, as opposed to, and those ones take only 6 to 13 minutes. So the timing was great, but the reliability was suspect. Now, the antigen test, we can always get back in 4 to 6 hours if it's done on Oahu. And the testing that we're going to be doing is mostly people are going to be flying into Oahu, at least at first. So we could do that directly there. And the idea would be, if we are real aggressive, we would test people, and the testing, they would then go, presumably, if we were super smart, we'd have them go to a holding area and wait. But barring that, we will test people at random. And if they test positive, then we will go and talk to them at their hotel and work it out with them, have them be in quarantine. It's not likely to happen very often. This is more so that we know what the world is bringing us. I'd like to have a constant revolving door of 200 tests a day, at least, at the airport, so that we can get that data and we always are knowing week over week whether or not we're vulnerable or not. That would be enough to have some good statistical value. Believe me, I'd like to test many thousands more, and some of our hotels may help us with that, because some of the companies locally are really inclined to do a lot of testing to know that their resort is safe and in the clear.
So is it possible, given the amount of testing that you're looking towards, and you say that you do a random testing, and anything's possible. I always tell my friends that, hey, monkeys fall out of trees. It's possible, even though they're sure-handed. But yes. What if, are we prepared that should you do a lot of testing, say the 200 you want, and say 75% of those come back positive, that we're stacked. Now you're talking about stacking 75% of the 200 tests just for that one day. Are we prepared to handle that, knowing that, you got to go check on these guys. These guys are tested positive. They can't be moving around, those kind of things. That's the question, I guess, posed.
Yeah. So that's a great question. So what we're told now is that by the time we open the state, we will have the capacity to trace and contact 1,000 individuals that are positive at any one time. So that's good news. And that is what we have to be prepared to do. Now, there's no way we're going to allow ourselves to get to a place where there's 1,000 positive people walking around. Because keep in mind, Charlie, that at the end of March and around April 1st, the max that we reached was, I think, 34 a day. We had a couple days that were 34. And when we got to 34, we shut it down. So we're going to be much, much more cautious than that. The likelihood is that probably 1 out of 1,000 individuals that travels to Hawaii is going to be asymptomatic positive walking around. So they will be very, very minimally contagious if they come through, have no fever, no nothing. And will we catch them with random testing? Not likely. Okay. So if we do 200 tests, we're going to catch a couple people, 1 or 2. What we will know, though, is if those test numbers start going up, if a lot of people are positive, we will just know it's too risky to have Hawaii be opened without comprehensive testing. And that's the purpose. It's all about population health. And yeah, it would be a shocker if 150 people tested positive, like a whole plane lit up, in other words. But to have that happen, you'd have so many people, they would have had to have symptoms. It just, because remember, only about 30% of people, 35% are totally asymptomatic normally. So the other 2/3 of people have some kind of symptom. You're going to catch them. They have sore throat, they have fever, they have shortness of breath. So these are all asymptomatic cases. So you're probably going to get really low numbers, but still valuable data.
Thank you.
Yes.
I know we get a couple of questions. The inter-island quarantine is being lifted. No one needs any testing. You just fly inter-island. But if someone wanted to get a test before they fly somewhere else, the requirements for the test still has not changed, correct? You would still need a doctor's order to get the tests. There's no testing sites that you can go and and say, I want to take a test. Thinking about flying to Maui, and I want to make sure I'm virus free before I fly over there and go visit family. That won't be available, correct?
We're going to make that available, in my opinion. The idea I have is for the kiosks over at the airport where we're putting people through the process, fully voluntary. So if you walk up and say you'd like a test, you can get one. We got good news. We got $50 million from the federal government for testing. So we would be silly to not test anybody who asks for one that's traveling. It would just be in our interest to do it. And then, of course, there are a lot of private folks that are willing to test you if you ask. Misko is one of those characters, and he's a good guy. He's a friend of mine. He's been very, very proactive as far as testing goes. Now, it's not every time that the insurance company probably will pay for one, but you will be able to do it and do it less expensively as time goes by because they're becoming more available. But I'd like to see testing at the airport be completely available, because why not? Why not have that extra information? And if people are traveling to the mainland and they're worried, they should go to their doctor and tell them that they'd just like to get a screening test before they're on a plane with some group of people for 6 or 10 hours. So perfectly reasonable, in my opinion.
And as far as this is another question that came up. If someone is living on Kauai or in Hawaii, they work in a medical industry, which I don't think is relevant wherever they work. But if they go to the mainland for vacation, they're going to be required to follow the same quarantine rules when they come back home, right? Meaning they either got a test, or if they don't, they come here and they got a 14-day quarantine, correct?
Yes, until that's lifted. So the expectation, and it's not for me to make the announcement, of course. That's for the governor and the mayors to weigh in on.
No, you can. On our show, you have every right to make the announcement. You have every single right. This show is off limits to any kind of governmental rules or protocol or policy. I just need you to know that.
That's very okay. Well, in that case, I'll tell you right now when we're lifting the quarantine. So the truth is, it opens on 16th for inter-island travel, right? So no more inter-island quarantine will be necessary. it's going to be something like 4 or 6 weeks out that we will likely be able to begin travel from abroad. Contingent on the governor's announcement, of course, and also contingent on what goes on around the world. For instance, the mainland United States appears to be blowing up because of the, you had the Floyd tragedy where a gentleman got killed, and now there are riots, as we all know, on the mainland, and a lot of people are obviously not in social distancing mode. There's looting and there's protests, and I support protests completely. So if there's a big surge of the virus on the mainland, it will make it difficult for us to open up to the mainland travel on any kind of immediately reliable schedule. However, I think Japan is looking awfully good, and my expectation is the governor is going to be able to be pretty proactive with Japan. I know that conversations have been made. They have an extremely low viral load and prevalence of the disease, and they also have relationships with us already where they'll work with us as to testing protocols and so on. So I would not be surprised at all if we first opened Japan as we're preparing to have mainland United States come here. So it's a really dynamic situation, and the gov has told everyone that he's going to make some major announcements again next week. As you saw, we did the big announcement this Monday, and I think that was pretty good because there's lots of work being done. People are opening their restaurants and the beaches, and see Charlie's getting his haircut, so everybody's getting ready, right, for regular life. But it's going to be these big questions of when people can come and whether the airport's ready. And I personally think that these bubbles are a pretty good idea. Bubbles with places where there is not a lot of COVID, like Japan, like New Zealand, like Australia. Even probably some parts of the mainland United States may prove to be safer than others.
So with the Alaska, what they announced, will they be doing random testing for everyone that comes in, or they will test everybody that comes to Alaska?
They said they're going to test. That's a great question. They said they're going to test everybody. First, they're going to ask people to get a test within 3 days of travel. Sounds like somebody right?
Yeah.
Which is what I was talking about. And then anyone who doesn't get a test, they're going to offer them a test at the airport. And if not, they're going to have them be quarantined. And that is a very, very safe and sound plan. Now, keep in mind, Alaska only gets 1.5 million tourists a year, and a lot of them have come through cruise ships. So when we're talking about people flying into Alaska, the number's a lot smaller. And I don't imagine there's going to be a lot of travelers into Alaska September, October, November, December, because I think it's like a frozen hell on earth kind of situation, right? in December. So, they probably get their main travel in the summertime. But that's their plan. Their plan is at least to do that. Now, I did go and check. It turns out that the governor had not shared that information with his Department of Transportation or Department of Health before he made that announcement. So that could create a little bit of tension. So we'll see. But, Alaska, they just do stuff sometimes. So maybe they'll do it.
I think if we're thinking about safety and population-wise, I think that'll be something that'll be worth looking into. I mean, you've said it before on the Josh Green show here on Mel and Live show, Mel and I, one night, that, having a pre-test done and have everybody tested, I think if it will do anything, it will put a lot of the local residents' mind at ease that a test has been done. Because I think, as you can see right now, with the people that's violating the quarantine, it's actually, there's like bullseyes on everybody. And, sometimes people get it wrong. A person looks like a tourist, but they're a resident. So, I would think, for peace of mind for everybody's sake, is get everybody tested. I mean, even if I went to Wisconsin and I decide to come back, subject me to the test. I'm all for it. And if I refuse, bingo, put me in a mandated quarantine situation or isolation situation, because I don't want, I could be carrying it and not even know, but just test me. I think that would be a good way to go about it, right? But again, the numbers is what you folks are worrying about the high amount of people coming through our floodgates here in Hawaii.
Yeah. And it could be done, you know, look, we could bring people back in and we could tell them, we'll go get a test when you have time and stay in isolation until then. And people would go to their house and that would be fine. It really depends on how willing we are to be extremely careful. And, you know, I've had these conversations with the tops of industry, the head guys, and they understand where you and I are coming from, where we say, hey, we don't want to expose ourselves to an outbreak. And then they say to themselves, but how difficult is that going to be? To which I say, wait until you see a surge and we have to shut it down again. Then you're going to wish we had tested people. So I don't want to say it's like a Mexican standoff, but it's a definite, it's an important discussion that we're having. And the conversation that I've had with these guys, with the team about active surveillance, this idea, it's kind of a compromise. It would help a lot. It would do an incredible service to our state as to know where we are in general, but it would not have the same specific benefit of having everybody cleared. You know, you're never going to be perfect, remember, because if you do a test within 3 days of travel,
anything's possible.
Anything's possible. But if we're talking about monkeys falling out of trees, fewer monkeys will fall out of trees.
Well, you know, the hotel workers union is really pushing the fact of safety for the employees. So I think that would kind of work hand in hand with what you and I are talking about everybody getting tested. I think they'll put the hotel workers at ease because basically they're going to become the frontline workers now that has to stay with those visitors day in and day out for whatever length of time.
That's exactly right. I've always felt that one of the reasons that this idea would probably prevail, at least on some level, getting a lot of tests for people was because of the hotel workers and the airline workers and airport folks. So the stewardesses, pilots, and those that are, you know, at the airports, that it's really kind of unfair to ask them to work for $25 an hour, which is, you know, it's good, but it's not, you know, rocket brain surgery money. You know, that's not like you're making $600,000 a year, and you could be exposed to a very serious virus. And all that we're asking for people to do is to get a simple test for, you know, $40 or $50 wherever they can. I'm not even that particular about which test. Some tests would be a little better than others, but the process of getting a test will help us. Also, it will catch a lot of disease, and, you know, we'll get society into a good spot so that when people are vacationing here, we're not looking over our shoulders and thinking, is that guy making me sick? And do I want to kick his butt? You know, so we don't really want that. Yeah. So I hope it happens. You know, I push a lot for this kind of stuff. Sometimes it does feel a little bit like I'm tilting at windmills, but in this particular case, our economy is on the line, our people's health is on the line, and it's really only about a year. You know, we're talking about finishing off this pandemic and then it'll be done. So this is not going to last for 6 years. This is going to last the better part of this year and maybe into part of next year.
Thank you.
Lieutenant Governor, you know, with all the different tests now available, like you mentioned earlier, some of them good, some of them not so good. Isn't there a process to validate these tests? I mean, you know, you could have a let's just say if you wanted to travel, you wanted to fly to Hawaii or wherever Alaska, and you know, you could get. I mean, this is totally a scenario, but I mean, you could get a location that'll test you with a shitty test that is almost guaranteed to get you a negative. You know what I'm saying? Because the test is so unreliable, and we're going to accept pretty much any document that said you were tested and you were negative from any kind of testing facility. But isn't there any kind of standards that the federal government is putting on these people that make tests, that we know that, you know, these tests are valid, that, like you should have a stamp on these damn things saying, hey, these tests have been proven to be accurate 84% of the time, or 99% of the time, or 28% of the time.
Yes, there absolutely is. And so that's what the CDC is supposed to be doing. And there are other people doing it as well. So they're working on that. It would be good if it's well into the 90 percentile to be reliable, both sensitive and specific. And then Johns Hopkins and Mayo Clinic are also doing that, as are a lot of other universities. So it really shouldn't be that complicated to pick the 5 tests that the country's going to agree will qualify as I guess you could use the word clearance. I mean, the idea is tests that we can rely on as reliable enough that we don't have to, think that we have a bogus test. And I had a meeting with the head of CVS, well, the chief operating officer and their chief financial officer, and they already have 1,000 places across the mainland and Hawaii where they can do the tests, and they're planning on doubling that to 2,000, which would mean that anyone who wanted to travel, this is going to become very routine to be able to go and get a test, because they will love people coming in for a test and then buying a bunch of chips and soda and their other medications, right? So they're going to sell a lot of tests. And as long as they choose a test that's reliable, which is necessary, it'll be a godsend. And I would assume that Walgreens would follow them and Longs would follow. I mean, everybody would follow them, because that's what usually happens. They don't let one industry person get into that space without anyone else. So I think it's doable. The reason I reached out to CVS was just a practical reason. They already have a heavy footprint here with HMSA, and HMSA insures like 800,000 of our Hawaii residents. So that way HMSA can be in communication with them about the result of the test. And that gets us most of the way there right off the bat.
I read, it was just recently, where CVS was going to have 2 locations on Oahu where they would be providing these self tests where you could actually test yourself. I'm not sure if you heard of that. That was probably within the last week. I saw a big article in the paper, in the Honolulu paper, about that, and then I think it was several thousand locations across the country, but 2 of them were on Oahu. 2 of the CVS stores on Oahu, but they were talking about a self-administered test.
Yeah, you just get in there and it's as though you're picking out some boogers, and get in there and then hand it to them.
Okay. All right.
Hey, but you gotta make sure you get the one with the swab that's under 2 feet long, because 2 feet and over, the bugger gonna touch the back of your brain. You cannot.
Yes. It's true. The hope is that the tests get sensitive enough that we can just get it from the anterior part of the nose, the front of the nose, because it's rough.
Yeah.
I mean, I know you went through it, buddy. I hear you. And so I've so far been tested a couple times, but it was just from the blood test. The wimpy way out.
Not wimpy, man. It's I don't know if I want a big Q-tip swab down my tonsils through my nose. Nah. Masks are required on all flights, correct? Charlie, you're frozen. I'm not sure if you're starting to.
Oh, here.
Free.
Okay. Here you go. Here you go.
Masks are
Charlie's
required on all
dancing now.
flights, right?
Yes. Yes.
Because I know.
And they're cleaning their planes like crazy too. At the airport, I mean, the airlines are really getting ready, and they do intend to fly with loads no more than 70%, so they'll be able to space people out. So, if you have a little extra space, and if your butt's big, you'll be able to use that middle seat a little bit.
Yeah, and I have seen some pictures. People post on Facebook like it's an enforcement agency. We know Facebook doesn't enforce any kind of health policy, but people without masks, people sitting close together in the airplane. So I know it's going to be tough to police. I mean, the airline's going to have to do that. Obviously, there's no cops on the plane, so it's going to be a tough thing to manage as we get more and more flights. 29,000 cases overnight in the United States. I just saw that on the news as well. I'm not sure. I'm assuming that's probably because of what's going on, the failure to social distance while they're rioting and looting. And I agree with you, Lieutenant Governor. I agree that protesting, civil peaceful protesting is everybody's right, and in this case, I fully support. But once they cross that line and start to injure people, shoot cops, beat up people, break into businesses, set everything on fire, that's no longer
Yeah.
protesting. But you're
Right.
right. As this
No,
thing grows,
that's
and
criminal behavior at that point. Yeah. Yeah, I
absolutely.
hear you.
But thousands of people. I mean, I think it's going to be a problem with COVID when as every day goes by. I think we're going to see a huge spike in these cities that have basically lost control of the people, and
Yeah.
and those people may end up one day trying to get to Hawaii. So I mean, the effect is not limited to that area, because these people travel, and they're crossing state lines right now to
Yep.
extend the looting. So it's scary. I think it's scary for a lot of people. But I think we all agree that we got to open up. But this is so funny, and yet it's not funny. But not long ago, we had the Aloha Later campaign. Remember Aloha Later? Mufi and the HTA and HLTA and everybody came out in a beautiful thing on TV. I guess they sent it. I'm not sure where they sent that commercial to, or that program, but that was
Oh,
pretty
yes, I
short.
remember that.
Yeah. I mean, it was, if you blinked, it was done, and then there was no follow through. In fact, it wasn't long before the visitor industry was starting to complain about, hey, we got to reopen. We're dying. We need to get our people back to work. So Aloha Later, what I thought was a brilliant campaign that I thought was going to go across the nation, didn't last very long. And I understand the importance of opening up, but I also understand the importance of letting those people on the mainland know that if you're going to come, you're subject to a quarantine until that quarantine is lifted.
Yeah, it's a lot of this is the ideas are telescoping towards people's desperation, right? So if you look at the calendars, a lot of the benefits are going to end on July 31st from the federal government, and people when they start getting broke and worry about how they're going to take care of their families and kids, their tolerance for risk increases to go back to work. And the pressure starts, and you know politics very well as I do. Once the pressure's there and more people are chiming in and demanding that we open, then it becomes a back and forth. So I just want to do it safely and right. Honestly, I'd be fine to bring people back today, this minute, if we had a clear test that was reliable before they came here. I would not worry about it. Because as of now, we do have the hospital and healthcare capacity, more than we're ever probably going to have again. We just have that much space. But we don't have all those protocols in place, and it's going to test our will. It's going to really test our will as to whether or not we go all in like that.
And any idea when that will be? Because we watch the press conferences, we hear the talk. The governor always says, we're going to do this, we're going to do that, we're going to do this, we're going to do that. And then, yeah, we understand that's what we want to do, but what's the timeline? That's one thing I never hear him say is, what's the timeline of pre-testing of people before they come to Hawaii? What's the logistics? How do you get another state to implement testing, or is it in the independent testing where you go to an independent tester or testing facility and get your certification? That's what the public hasn't been told. We just don't know.
Yeah, I don't think that they've fully bought into the idea that it can be done, and a lot of it's been watch and wait, which that's sometimes the case with the current administration, that they observe and study a lot. The truth of the matter is we now know a couple things. We know we could do 5,000 tests in Hawaii every day, period. We know that. We know that increasingly there's other states putting together plans to do testing, whether it's Alaska or other countries like the United Arab Emirates, or I think maybe it was Greece, and New Zealand is testing. I mean, so lots of people are testing, right? Now, we are unique. We're isolated. and there's no way to get here unless you fly in, or I guess if you take a cruise ship. And cruise ships are off the market for a while, right? So you're flying in or you're not, and we have a chance to be very thorough. If we go all in and commit ourselves because the tests are available, we're going to be very, very safe. If we go halfway in, we'll be pretty safe. And the Gov has me working on that now. So we're scheduled to have some important time together, all of us, in the coming days. And then next week, he intends to give us an idea about the timetable better. And there are a few variables out there, but I do think that because travel industry types they have to have a month to ramp up their hotels and airports, they're going to have to be given some significant signal. So, it's a half shade above my pay grade is all I can say. I know what I'd like to do. I'd like to test everybody or test almost everyone and have bubbles with groups that they're very, very low rates, so we don't worry about it. That's the simplest way to go.
Lieutenant Governor, one problem that I've been seeing recently, and I guess the activity is because everybody wants to do their part in being eyes and ears for violators. But it seems apparent that even
Yes.
some locations, some stores, they're not even enforcing the mask rule. I guess like for here on Kauai, if you go into a store. So what happens is people standing in line starts to enforce that, and next thing you know, you have a ruckus going on. And it seems it's happening more and more often now. Is there anything that the AG can do to step in and maybe have like what the governor does and just say, hey, leave it on the store. If you're going to have a long line of people going to your store, I don't think the people should be outside enforcing it. It should be the store's problem. If they're going to go to that store, that everybody wears a mask, because I can see why everybody gets uncomfortable about the situation.
Yeah, the Attorney General definitely has the capacity to shut somebody down if there's lots of complaints. And so what I would say to our audience tonight, our friends on Facebook and TV and stuff, is if you see a store or a hotel or something that's really not doing their part and enforcing things properly, write me and the Attorney General. That would be great. And include the mayor because they'll know that store. And it's going to be one of those situations where you get a hefty warning quickly. And then if it happens again or keeps happening, you could get shut down, because we can't afford to have, say, like in the early days, one of the big box stores on Oahu was really not, they were not making people adhere to social distancing, and there were a lot of people there and in close quarters, and the risk for outbreak was very significant. So, I had to kind of speak up on television about that. And honestly, they got their act together really quickly. I don't think they realized how dangerous it was at the time. It takes, but it takes a little time to learn that. But now everyone knows. And we've had the luxury of not getting outbreaks. One thing is pretty certain, and that's that you guys on Kauai are really good. That it would be kind of hard. I'm not saying don't wear masks or socially distance, but it would be kind of hard to get an outbreak right now. Now, things will change once you have New Yorkers and people from Chicago and LA flying in and doing fancy vacations. Then it's a different story, right? So might as well get in the habit now of doing things properly so that, again, we keep the risk low.
Okay, thank you.
I know the Lieutenant Governor has to bail at 7:45, but real quick, Lieutenant Governor, is there a process in place for visitors that come in from the mainland that stop in Honolulu and then connect to an outer island? My concern now is once the inner island quarantine gets lifted, how will we know when that person gets off of a United or whatever airlines in Honolulu International Airport, jumps on Hawaiian or Southwest inner island to come to Kauai or Maui or any of the other islands? How will we, I'm hoping that there's a process in place so we can identify them so they can, be processed when they come here.
Yes. Yeah, that's exactly the process. So the plan is to have everybody go centrally through the same process. It's about a 1.5-page form, very heavy on where they're going to be staying and their contact information, which will be verified. So they can't just make it up, put it on the form. And they will also go through pretty comprehensive screening. They're going to go through temperature, thermal, screening, and then they're going to go through temperature screening to get their temperature under 100.4. They're also going to get all their data checked and then get their temperature taken again. And that will catch a lot of people that could otherwise be positive. But then we will have their information so that if someone turns up sick or we have a concern, the key is we can trace them very carefully. That person may end up, let's say they're just unlucky. They didn't know themselves that they had 5 days before bumped into somebody and caught COVID, and now here they were, on Big Island on a trip. But we will have their information, and most people are going to want to cooperate, especially if they start feeling symptoms. But if we happen to find that they've been out and about and other people got sick, and we trace them to that person, we can then find them, contact them, and test them. So everyone will come through the central processing. If we get good at it, eventually there are going to be direct flights also into the neighbor islands like there were before. So we'll have to have the exact same standard where we test and screen people at the airports, if it's on Kauai or Big Island or wherever. So this is no joke. It's no joke at all. And I know you guys take it super seriously. I'm trying to impress upon everybody here on Oahu now how fast this could get out of control if we don't have good screening and testing. And one of the benefits of this active surveillance that I'm talking about is that the moment we see any kind of numbers adjusting upwards, I can demonstrate with those real numbers, the actual numbers, how fast we are going to get to an overwhelming situation if we don't add more testing and screening. So that could trigger universal testing at a certain threshold. That's one thing I'm contemplating telling the guys. Look, I'm willing to consider going your way. Hopefully lots of people get tested anyway. But if you're not willing to press for 100%, then at least meet me halfway so that I can inform you that it's getting to be a greater risk. And then you'll be able to trigger, global testing or whatever is necessary. We've never done this before, right? So some of it's being invented now, but we don't want to open up, say in early August, and then come October 1st, realize that we've got COVID all over the place and we have no immunity. That is unacceptable. And then have to shut down over the holidays. That's a nightmare scenario that I don't want to have to live through. And, I'm sure you don't want to have to live through that. I mean, look, we're just finally readjusting to, your improved hairstyle. I don't think we can go back.
We had more comments about my hair than COVID tonight, man. I tell you. I know you got to run, but I know we got tons of questions. We got to bring you on for 2 hours the next time. But for tonight, I know you got to run real quickly. Young Brothers ultimatum, and will the state run out of money with all this lost tax revenue? I know you got only a couple of minutes, but
the state will have to be, have super tight belt for the next couple years for sure. Will we run out of money? No, we'll find a way to get through because we do have borrowing capacity also at extremely low rates. And we have, because we've done so well on our current COVID response, we're going to have a ton of tourists come back. I just know that. A lot of people are going to want to flock here. But that's the double-edged sword. A lot of people are going to want to come here. Do we want them all to come here in the short term? Because we don't want to expose our families. So there will be money. We will get through that. As to the Young Brothers request, that's being vetted right now by the PUC. It's got to be cleared by them. On the one hand, we neighbor island guys have to get our goods. On the flip side, it's a tough time to be asking for extra money, So we're relying on the PUC to give us the data. And then if we do it, I'm guessing they're going to have a pretty tight leash on how those monies are put out. We also do rely on those monies for our dock workers and good middle class folks. So it's, it's a definitely complicated situation. But we're going to dig into the numbers to make sure they're very accurate. And I expect they'll be accurate, and then we'll make sure we're good for our neighbor island guys.
Okay, LG, appreciate it. I know you got to run. It's 7:45 according to my clock. We'll get you out of here. We definitely want you back. Maybe we can get you a little longer the next time after our quarantine is lifted, and we'll get a chance to talk story and see how that thing is going in the next couple of weeks. So appreciate it. Hey, guys, hang out because we still got some stuff to talk about. So we're going to be cutting the Lieutenant Governor loose. But thanks again, Lieutenant Governor. Keep up the good work.
Thank you very much.
Keep fighting for the people. We really need you guys up there for help us out, and we'll see how this thing turns out.
Okay, I love you guys. Take care.
Take care.
Thanks. Thank you,
See you
Doc.
later. Bye.
Well, Charles, I tell you, it's always a pleasure to have the Lieutenant Governor on. I mean, he's some difficult decisions got to be made, and it's it's somewhat refreshing to hear from the Lieutenant Governor of the state. But again, the push is really to open up Hawaii, and what I hear him saying is that we want to open up Hawaii, but we want to do it safely, and I think that's everybody's concern. That's been our concern since the beginning, was making sure our people, our families, our kupuna, our keiki, all the people with immunity issues are safe, and that's what we can only hope that is accomplished going forward.
Well, you know what he said is so true, and that is, again, you heard me say this before. It appears that we scrubbed this island clean. I mean, we scrubbed it down to the bare bone, to the point that you can go for a period of time. Kauai, we've been very, very fortunate. We've gone for a long period, longer than any of the other counties, with 0 infection cases. So that's good. But I think, like the Lieutenant Governor says, is we need to open back up. Yes. Do we have the caseload that he feels that might spike? The unknown variable is we won't know that until the flights open up from places that still have cases that's uncontrolled. I mean, even having less than 100, but more than 50 is a problem. And it's not to say that, we're going to catch them all coming in on one flight. But, that's why I posed the question about the stacking. I wasn't referring to it all coming in on one flight. I mean, it's over a period of time. If we have 5-6 flights a day, coming in, and those numbers stack, the 200 that they talk about, that can be a very, very frightening thing. And I hope and pray, and I believe, one thing I forgot to ask him, and I will ask him the next time, but if you remind me, it sounds like he has a program that, hey, I'm all on board with what he says. But then you've got Dr. Park and Dr. Anderson on the other side, and whether or not they're on the same program is a totally different question, because we've seen how that played out before. So it needs to be addressed. It needs to be addressed.
Well, they definitely are not on the same page. They never was, and they never will be. But that's just something we got to deal with, and we just got to keep an eye on and keep a close watch, and keep bringing these guys on the show and holding everybody accountable, because as we move forward into opening up, it sounds like the governor is going to open up in the next couple of months, the mainland travel, 4 to 6 weeks. That's I
wouldn't be surprised he opens up sooner. I just get a real sneaky suspicion because he's going to take a look at this inter-island travel and see how that goes. And if it looks promising, he's going to do the cookie cutter effect. I just have a funny feeling. He's going to take that cookie cutter effect and says, well, we can do it on this amount. We can just multiply it and do it on this amount. Well,
he's going to make the announcement next week. I predicted August 1st. That was my prediction, but it sounds like it may be sooner. We'll see. Hey, Charlie, if you don't mind, because we got some time, I want to just share something. I was going to do it tomorrow night, but, since everybody's on the call, I have been bombarded with emails and texts about why not running for council. Today was a filing deadline, today at 4:30, and I did not file. And I know I had been over the last week, I've been getting a lot of calls and emails and messages about, Mel, how come you never pull your papers? How come you're not running, and so forth. So I wanted to take this time tonight so I can let everybody know the reason I chose not to run. And it's really a couple of reasons. The first is, as you know, I work for the prosecuting attorney's office. I work for Justin. I'm one of his special investigators, and I really enjoy that job. I work in a drug nuisance unit, and I enjoy that job, and I feel we can make a lot of difference there as it relates to drugs here on Kauai. And Justin was nice enough to offer me that position in December, and I feel, number one, I feel obligated to basically finish what I started there at the prosecutor's office. While the county council is very appealing, and I miss being on the county council, I also saw that we have a bunch of good candidates running, young, new blood that should have an opportunity. And I'm not saying that if I ran, I was a guaranteed win, but I'm saying that by me not running, it makes it a lot easier for some of the newer people to get a chance in getting on that council. It was a tough decision, I got to tell you. It was a decision that I thought about hard for probably the last 3 nights with my wife, discussing this up and down, talking to my kids. And at the end of the day, I decided that I was not going to run for county council this time. And we'll stay active in the community with this show. And I talked to Charlie today about it, that, you know, we'll transition at some point off of COVID and get into the topics of the day, bringing on elected officials, no different than what we're doing today, but we'll focus on issues that affect all of us here, not just here in Kauai, but throughout the state, and bringing on the people that are making the decisions and holding people accountable for their decisions and their actions, and reminding them of the commitments they made during the election season. So while it hurts to not be in this race for county council, that was the reason. I'm not one to jump from opportunity to opportunity. Justin gave me a great opportunity at the prosecutor's office, and I plan to fulfill that obligation and that responsibility. I don't need the title. I don't need to be a council member. I don't need that. As long as we're helping the community. Charlie's been a great partner in this effort. I think we've done a lot of informing and educating for the public, not just Kauai, but throughout the state, getting your ideas to the place where it needs to be at, whether it's at the Senate or the House or the governor's office. So I just wanted to share that with you guys, because I didn't want people to start fabricating all their own reasons why I didn't run. I am flattered and honored, and I thank each and every one of you that has supported me and that have been bugging me about running. It's the ultimate compliment. I love all you guys, but for right now, I want to let some of these young guys get an opportunity to get in there, get some new ideas, some new leaders, and we just enjoy the ride, Charles. So anyway, thank you for giving me that time, Charlie. Now we can go back and talk about COVID.
Well,
COVID.
I would like to expound on that, if I may. So don't worry, I won't say anything that we will regret. But I'd just like to say to my brother Mel, you know, you and I had that long talk, and you know that's only a decision that you and Patsy can make. But I told you how I felt. I told you that, you know, sometimes it's hard when people give a commitment and then that commitment goes a different way. It hurts. And I seen it happen to you, not once, but many times. And that's why I told you, I never want you to go through that again. Because for all of us who were in the office, in the trenches with you, it was bitter. It made me bitter. It made me so bitter that I couldn't understand why, you know. So I think where we're at now, I think we do a lot for the community because we love our community. I think we can do even more because we're given the flexibility to move in front of the camera, behind the camera. And if you had to compare between what we do now and the council, yeah, the council, you know, you set policies, this and that. But you know what? You're in that certain space that you really can't move sometimes. But like you said, you're gonna give yourself the time to take a breather And we're gonna run with what we have right now, brother. We're gonna run with everything we got because we know that what we do, we make sure we give it to you, the viewers, and then you folks make the decision. And we will never send you down a rabbit hole without any escape route. We'll never do that to you. We'll never throw you in a hole that you can't escape from. We're gonna give you everything possible. And I think in my opinion, Mel, I think you made a right decision. But like I said, I'm happy for you, brother. I'll stick with you through thick and thin. I'll stick with you through thick and thin, brother.
Thank you, my brother. But we are going to showcase our candidates. We are gonna bring them on.
Yes.
We're gonna give them. They're gonna be able to talk to all of you and answer your questions, unfiltered, uncensored, and
with no lemon, no lemon and no sugar.
I was thinking about that. I was like, it's gonna be kind of awkward if I'm running for council and then we have this show, and then it's not gonna work. So I want to give everybody an opportunity. Everybody out there watching every single night that watches us, I want them to get an opportunity to meet our candidates intimately. Like many of you saw the human side of Frank De Lima and Augie T. Our show was able to show you guys that human side. I want to do the same with our candidates. And we're going to put some questions to them that they're going to be forced to answer. And we just want to put the best people there. And we're not just dealing with council races. I got to tell you, Charlie, and you know this yourself, is that we have a lot of people that want to come on this show. And now that the filing deadline is over, it's all power. The slates have all been set. Now we can go and bring those, whether it's because we got viewers from Honolulu, we got viewers from the Big Island, we got viewers from every county.
Yep.
And we want to bring whoever wants to come on and share what they got, their manao, what their plans are. I said, I don't care what people did in the past. You can come up and say, oh, I was this, I was that. What's important, you tell me what you're going to do and how you plan to do it. And that's what we want to do. We want to know your positions on certain issues. And we want to share that with the people. So I'm excited. I am so excited.
I am so excited, but I got to be honest and let you know that the only thing that, I asked, that whoever we bring on, please, let's not talk about Area 51. And even if we bring you on and you say you saw one spaceship landing in your backyard, good for you, but just keep it to yourself. We can talk about it later when the spaceship take off. But
I just saw a picture on Facebook about some UFOs flying someplace in the mainland. I gotta tell you, Charlie, and I think you feel the same way. There is a connection between us and the viewers. We get so many people that have come on every single night. I thought you and I were going crazy. Like, who the hell would do this every night? And then I'm thinking, I thought you and I were crazy. And now I feel so much better, because who the hell would tune in every single night and watch two baboozes talk for 1 hour or hour and a half a night? So I don't feel alone anymore. I don't feel like I'm the only crazy one besides you. We got 167 people right now watching this nonsense and saying, he's right. Well, we could be watching TV. But the point in all of that is we really appreciate you guys coming on every single night, watching the replays. Don't forget, and I keep forgetting, go to my YouTube channel, people, and you can watch all the archives. Look at Charlie, he's cracking up. Go to my YouTube channel, and don't forget, subscribe. Don't just go there, watch the video and leave. Subscribe so you make me feel better.
No, it's like Tyson Moises. I know, brother, I love you, brother. I know you 2 quarts alone right now, but I love you. I love you. And talking about the UFO, I get this, when you get this song in your head, it goes something like this. That's what I'm hearing in my head right now. talking about UFOs. I said, man, oh man alive. But you're right, Mel. We bring on people. We just let them have it because I think for the candidates this year, especially for the council races for Kauai, and we'll bring on some people from Honolulu because we have a lot of Honolulu viewers as well. And they can get to see the prospective candidate and how they match up with, some of the other people. I think it's only right people get to see that because there's some names that's never been heard of from before. You wonder where they came from, but they're residents too, and they deserve a fair shot like anybody else. But like I said, just don't bring up Area 51, whatever you do. Like,
Hey, if you go to Area 51, you got to quarantine or what? I just
No,
curious.
not if you stop off at Area 52 first.
Hey, tomorrow night we get Senator Dela Cruz, and we had two other people. We had Yonomini and Kurisu. They were all gung ho, and then I don't know what happened. Maybe they watched one of our episodes and they emailed me and said, "Hey, they ain't coming." So Donovan is coming on, and he's bringing another guest, surprise guest. So it'll be fun. Donovan got a lot of insight.
No, I heard one of them came down with the OS illness. So
What is
I think OS is oh shit,
Yeah, I think so. But Donovan is really well versed on the quarantine question. So we'll see. I know we got a lot tonight. But Donovan will be on tomorrow. Thursday, we have Carrie Ann Shirota. She has two colleagues that'll be on. We'll be talking about inmates reentry into society. And then Friday, we have Congressman Ed Case. Ed Case will be on. And then Saturday, we have Dr. Capono. Dr. Capono will be on Saturday. Sunday, of course, we take our break night, and then Monday we got a treat for you guys. We got the two Herbig brothers, Nate Herbig and his brother, Nate's Philadelphia Eagles. And we'll just bring in some local boys that are doing good right now on the mainland. We'll have them on Monday. Tuesday, we have
Brian Miyamoto from the Hawaii Farm Bureau. Yes, and he'll be talking about the entire program that they've been doing with the food bank, and they've been doing a lot of things on Oahu. I mean, huge things. So, and that's to help feed the greater population. And then Wednesday, we have Dr.
T.
Tony Tripovsky.
Dr. T, you saw him on TV. He did the two doctors in Waikiki. Charlie, I don't know how you got him, but you got him. Appreciate that. He's gonna be fun. This guy is off the charts. Dr. T, Doctors of Waikiki. I am gonna try it. I'm gonna publicly ask him, so he cannot say no, to bring his ass to Kauai and start whacking some tests here on Kauai.
Yeah.
I'm gonna do it.
Okay, perfect.
Charlie, just some comments that I like. This is the kinds of things that validate my decision. Good fun. I've never been so involved in politics. If we can get you guys involved, if we can get you guys to start writing emails and posting comments and getting involved in politics, then we do our job. And I tell you what, we can make a difference. So, new T-shirt, no quarantine in Area 51. Yeah. Thank you guys for the comments. Anyway, shit, it's 8:03 already. Well, Charlie, it's been a great show.
Yeah.
Thank you very much. Again, people, thank you so much for joining us. We are going to, people are asking, for us to go longer than an hour. We will, if we have the speaker and if we have the engagement, of course we'll go on beyond, but we try to keep it at an hour. So out of respect for our guests that also have lives. But if you have ideas for shirts, send them our way. Because Kirk Correa, I don't know if he's on or not. He's supposed to send me some. Kirk, send me the pictures of the people wearing the shirt so I can put them on the website so we can promote it. Okay? And we will be presenting the check. The final amount came out over $6,000. I talked to Hawaii Community Foundation today. We're going to be setting up that presentation.
Yeah,
at their cost.
I'd like to thank Sherry Cummings as well and Cindy Mora. Sherry, especially, you know, she walks around, she exercises every day with our Mel and Charlie shirt on. And then I like to also thank the rest of the gang who get the Doodle Boy shirts, walking around with that. And I got scolding from Mrs. Iona because I proudly wear my Okole Puka shirt. and somebody asked me, what is that Okole Puka? I said, oh, that means smile, just smile. They go, okay. I go, I'm sorry. It doesn't mean that. So when I explained to them, they say, oh, Uncle Charlie, you nasty, Uncle Charlie. I'm sorry.
Hey,
But
Dave,
anyway.
Dave is offering to send me pictures of, I don't want just a shirt. I can take a picture of the shirt. I need somebody to take a picture of you wearing the shirt. How's this, people? All of you who have the shirt, get over 300 shirts were sold. Whoever get the shirt, take a picture of you wearing the shirt. Make sure you iron them. And then send them to me, melraposo@gmail.com, melraposo@gmail.com. And Charlie and I gonna pick the models for the Mel and Charlie show, the Doodle Boy, and the Okole Puka. Okole Puka is a nice shirt. I don't have one with me, son of a gun. I left it at the office again. But you send me your pictures, melraposo@gmail.com. Charlie and I will pick the model. And I'll even go one step further. Whoever we pick, I will give, Charlie will help me with this, one $50 Starbucks gift card. If we choose you to be our model for the website, which we're going to generate millions of dollars in sales, we'll give you a $50 Starbucks card. Okay? So you just got to take a nice picture.
We'll do it one better. I will, from my foundation, I will give a round trip ticket for two. A round trip ticket for two to nowhere. Okay? So if we'll give you a Starbucks gift card, $50.
Okay, so three of you gonna get $50 gift card from Starbucks each. We're gonna pick because I'm not gonna wait for Kirk. If I wait for Kirk, he's gonna be on his 14th shirt already, and we still never get the picture for the third one. So send me you guys picture of you in the shirt, wearing the shirt with a nice aloha smile, shaka, whatever, no cover the words, and we will send you a $50 gift card from Starbucks as a token of our appreciation. All right?
That's 3 gift cards, okay? Even though my kids gonna have to go without milk for 1 week, but that's okay. Because it's important that we get the shirts modeled and we get it out as quickly as we can.
Charles, it would not be right if we didn't leave with our flatten the curve. I was hoping to wean off of that stuff, but you know what? It's not fair. Post everybody's picture. Might be possible, but it's 300 shirts out there. We'll figure it out. We will figure it out. Thank you guys. Tomorrow night again, 7 o'clock. Senator De La Cruz and a mystery guest. I don't know who it is.
Oh, we got here Jane Murata.
Yep, I just saw that.
He's gonna add also 3 works washes at Suds Car Wash. He's gonna add it. 1 for each model. Who we select. Huh?
Yeah, you can add 3 works. 3 works. The works car wash from Suds. Yeah. If I like. Of course we like, Jay.
So not only you're gonna get the coffee gift card, you're gonna get 1 car wash.
The works.
The works. Okay. With the works, you get 1 car wash that come with soap. Without the works, you just get water. So you're gonna get the one with the soap. That's what you gotta remember. Are we saying goodbye?
Well, I don't know, man. You changed the tune right there. I don't know what the heck to do. I'm trying to find. I lost the damn. Oh, here it is. Here it is. There we go.
High in the air.
See you guys tomorrow night, 7 o'clock. Guys, as always, you stay safe. God bless. We love you guys. Take care. See you tomorrow night.